a person either feels like they want to be their best or they want to be the best. But here's the caveat.
All right.
It doesn't matter which. It's the same amount of effort, the same amount of what you do. But one of us is driven by, I'm going to be the best that I can possibly be, right? That's what they believe.
Welcome to the Opposites Unite podcast,
where we discuss real estate and lifestyle topics,
break barriers,
build connections,
and find common ground.
Let's unite.
All right. Today on the podcast, we're here with a good friend, Jeremy Herider. How are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. Great to have you here, man.
I'm excited.
Excited to have you, get some time to sit down and chop it up with you. I think the last time we went out, I was telling you, man, my face hurt. Like, we were laughing so hard, dude.
Yeah.
I went home and I was telling Carrie, man, my freaking face hurt, man.
Hey, I mean, same for us, right? Liz and I got home and we were super, we were like, we have to do that again.
Yeah, that was
like,
a lot of fun, man.
That was fun for sure.
Yeah, but, I've been wanting to have you on the podcast, man. I always look up to you as a person, an entrepreneur, an athlete, a lot of things that you can share of value to me and to our watchers, man. Like, so thanks for coming down.
Hey, I appreciate it. Right back at you. Nothing but love, respect for you and Carrie. And so the moment you said it, I was like, I'm in, man. When and where.
I love it, man. Well, thank you. All right, so let's get into it, man. Yep. I don't think I've ever really asked you, but I know that you had a background in CrossFit, right? Like you had.
I did.
You did, and you competed.
I did.
Where?
Yes.
Now, what do those competitions look like?
Crazy. No. So, I mean, even to back out of that a little bit, I started as an athlete, right? Baseball player. So
okay.
My whole life grew up playing sports, wanting to do sports. I mean, still to this day, that's all we watch it, I play it, run around with the kids, I coach a 10-year-old team. So when we got the 2010, about 2010, I was training at a gym. I had a buddy actually in real estate. We were training together and he goes, "Hey, have you heard of this thing?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "It's this new fitness thing. It's called the CrossFit." And I was like, "I've never heard of it, man." He's like, "Well, my buddy has a friend who runs this thing out of his garage, right? He's doing people." He's like, "What do you say we go down there?" And he wants us to come down and get a workout. It's his son's birthday. And this guy was a former world champion motocross racer.
Okay.
Right? And so we go down and these guys, I mean, it was nuts, right? We walk into this guy's, really his garage, but it was pretty large, right? Had multiple bars and people were just killing it. And
so he already had like a group of people there?
He had it all set up. Yeah, he was already running kind of a gym right out of his garage, which is kind of how CrossFit was built in the
a little
the
more
early
organic,
days.
Right?
Very much so. Out of your garage, there was very few facilities. Very few
Right.
people had. And we did the first workout, man. I was sore for 3 days. I was like, "This is incredible. Let's go back," And I started to learn about it. And then 2010, that summer, the CrossFit Games was at StubHub Center in Carson, California.
All right.
It may have been Home Depot then or something, but it's
yeah.
where the
It's an
Galaxy,
open stadium, right?
Yeah, the Galaxy play there.
Yeah.
And so they used that whole facility, and it was just incredible, man, to see what these men and women could do. I was floored, right? Floored. I mean, the weights, everything. And this is the early days of CrossFit, right? I think the games started in 2007, so this was only the third or fourth games ever. But I was like, this is incredible. So we built a gym out of his garage, my buddy's garage. We started doing that. More people started doing it. Fast forward 2011, we had too many people coming to the gym, coming to his house. His wife was like, "Yeah, this isn't a gym. This is my house." And so I was like, let's get a building. Let's just do it, right? And
yeah.
we don't need very many people to at least just have it break even. It was never meant to be a business. It was meant for us to have a really cool place to train and
you had
have
the
fun.
clientele base already in your garage.
We had probably 15 people like showing up all the time.
Consistently.
You do a Saturday where, Saturday morning, I mean, it was nothing to have 30, 40 people show up and want to get this workout and flip tires and, do all the things that you do, right?
Yeah.
And so 2011 found a gym, found a place, or found a building. Was like, all right, let's go all in, man. I got online, bought a bunch of equipment, imported it from China.
Oh, you did? You built it? Then you...
Yeah, we built it from scratch. Went around to different gyms, took different measurements, and one of my closest friends had a welding shop. He built all the rigs, same as you buy on Rogue today. He had everything.
So you had to make it before it existed.
We
like
built
manufactured
it.
it.
Yeah, manufactured our own and all that, and that was. I think we opened those doors. I want to say February or March of 2011. And by 2013, I went to the CrossFit Games. I qualified for the CrossFit
Damn,
Games.
dude. So 2 years of training and
Just nonstop.
But you
man.
were you like an instructor, a teacher at that point?
Yeah, so in order to own one, you had to go through their level 1. You had to get your certification in those days. I don't know how it is today, to be honest with you. Then you had to apply to be an affiliate. They're not a they're an affiliate. So affiliate means you can run it yourself, right? It's not a franchise.
It's not a franchise. Okay.
No, it's not a franchise. And so they don't take any of your profits. You just pay to use the name CrossFit. So
like a branding deal kind of thing.
Correct. That's all you're paying for. And so, yeah, we built it up and we did the numbers. We were like, all right, we need like 50 people. And I think within the first 90 days, we had close to 100.
Oh, damn.
It was incredible.
Where was it at?
In Palmdale, California.
Oh, nice, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's
where I grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lancaster.
Dude, that's big, man.
It was cool. I mean,
You
for
guys went
us in
from
those
15
days.
to 50?
So imagine this, though. The closest one was probably 50 miles away. So we had people driving from all over the place that heard of it or wanted to come in. And we had a huge military because they had the Edwards Air Force bases out there. So we had a huge military contingent. Then it turned into athletes because that's what I was. That's how most people knew me in town was as a baseball player, right? Because I played professional baseball player. Played professional baseball first, and so that's how everybody knew me. And so then we had athletes. I mean, yeah, it was at one point we had 300 members. It was crazy. It became a business.
So you got to like rotate classes then.
Rotate classes, hire instructors, teach instructors, have SOPs. This is how we walk. This is how we talk. This is how we act. All of it.
That's a business, man.
It's it became a business.
So you went from garage like workouts with a few people to like full-blown business?
Full-blown business.
In a couple years.
And had no idea what I was doing.
I guess that's kind of the way it works out though, right? I mean, you start off a little, but it wasn't necessarily like a what do you call it, a paved road. You kind of were paving.
Yeah, and what's really cool, and I think, based on what we were talking about and hearing some of your podcasts before, is like, I think that's the journey for us in everything. We always want it to be perfect. We always want to wait for. If you would have said, if I would have thought of that as a business from day one, to been like, hey, let's build a business, let's make money, right? If that would have been our number one thing, I don't know when we would have started, right? Because there was no plan. At CrossFit in Chino Hills, if you know where that is.
The Chills, yeah.
There was one in Temecula.
Oh, dude,
and
that's
there
far.
were 2 or 3 in San Diego. So in a weekend, I drove to the Chino Hills, introduced myself, met the owner, saw what they do, took a class. And again, that community in those days was super open, honest. They were great people. They loved it. They wanted to help. Told them what we were doing, thinking about opening in where we lived. And he's like, you should do it. Here's why. Then we went, the next day we went to Temecula. And then the next day we went to San Diego. And we just hit them. We just dropped in and did some workouts, met the owners, met the people. Everybody was super gracious. Learned about the back office, how they charge people, why they charge the amount that they charge. Because again, I mean, you could come in now, right? In those days, you could go to the gym for $12 a month, right?
You know what? I did do CrossFit in Burbank. I'd say 2012 or something like that. I did it for a little bit, but it was very functional. But it hurt, which meant it worked, right?
Yeah.
And then, so very short-lived, I should say. And then back to the regular gym stuff. But it was expensive too.
It is expensive.
It's in comparison, like you said.
Well, $12,
right?
Let me say this: it's value. It's expensive, right? Or was the other one cheap?
I
Because
would-
what you get is, you know, if you know what you're
You
doing,
get what you pay for.
yeah, if you know what you're doing, I used to tell people all the time, look, you have to know your worth. Because again, people would come in, they could go right across the street for $19 a month. Why would they pay us $100 a month? So that's a, you know, you're talking about a 5x multiple, right? You're like, wait a minute. And ours was 100 and across the street was 19.
Yeah.
And the difference is when you walk through those doors with us, you're going to be greeted. We know your name. We know your situation, your injuries, your goals, right? We had goal sheets. Everybody knew. Every one of my trainers knew. And what also, and also is you don't have to worry about what you're doing that day, right? Should I do this? Should I do that?
AMRAP?
Yeah,
That sounds like a term.
AMRAPs.
I
Yeah, as
remember
many
from that.
reps as possible.
Yeah,
and then
there
it's
you
got
go.
a time component around it. Yeah, but but when you're building a business, when it started to become a business, and you have to know your competition. If your competition's cheaper, then you better have a reason for that person to choose you over them. You better have a real, true value proposition, right?
Right.
And that value proposition is what we had. Because when you came to us, you were not going back. And if I came in, this is a true story. My daughter tells a story all the time. Is so when I would come into the gym, especially when we were fully going, let's say 2-3 years into this thing, and when I would come in, I would ask the trainer, whoever's teaching that class, right? And I would ask them about somebody. Hey, who's that over there? Oh, that's Cindy. Where's Cindy come from? Oh, she works for, lawyer's title. She's new. What's her goal? Oh man, she just wants to get in shape. Her kids play soccer and she wants to be able to run. You know what I mean? Like, and if I came in and said, hey, who's that over there? I don't know. You're gone for the day. You don't get paid that day.
Oh, damn.
You're
Okay.
gone. You're immediately.
So that was the.
You don't know that person because part of the class is they got to sign in. You have to know them, right? If they're new and I don't know them and they haven't signed a waiver, you know how much liability that is on us? And then that's in
Yeah.
any gym. That not just CrossFit, but also we put their name on the board. Their times go up there. We chart things. We watch things. It goes into we had a back office that charted every workout when you came. So we knew, and you're like, hey, this doesn't work. And I'm like, well, you haven't been here since, last December.
Oh, I remember, dude. It hurt and it worked. I remember going to a friend's house and them going like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Because like something's working. And
For sure.
Of course, shortly after that's when I probably stopped, dude. But my weight was jumping into where I was better. And I don't know why I stopped, to be honest with you. I've always had knee problems, but I didn't hurt my knee. It's just something that I fell off. But it was
we all
very
do it. I don't
highly
do it every
effective.
day now.
Yeah.
Now I train out of my house. I built a gym at my house. Like I still do a lot of the same types
Yeah.
of workouts, but I don't do full on. But when you're getting started, or you have a goal fitness wise, if you need it for a reason, there's nothing better. Honestly, the methodology
Yeah.
is to be a CrossFit Games competitor. Is that healthy? No, hell no. It's a real sport.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's
Like you could go out to the field and
that's
do
balls to the wall, man. Like that.
but you could go out, like let's take football, right? Is football healthy? No, those dudes are the most incredible athletes on the earth. But could you do the things that they do to get ready to go play football? Sure.
Yeah.
Everybody can. Doesn't matter what age, doesn't matter whatever.
Those guys are like 6'5",
You know?
280, and they can outrun you.
Running
Man.
4.4s.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's
Yeah.
an insane concept to have a human that size run that fast with that much agility.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
incredible.
That's next level stuff.
It is.
But that's the training, right? That you're, if we can
Training,
mimic
yeah.
their training to some level, then
Yeah, you and I are never gonna be LeBron James, right?
Yeah.
I'm not, we're not gonna be 6'9", we don't have those genetics.
Yeah.
Could we do the same things and enhance our bodies and enhance our way of living and those kind of things? Sure. Why not?
yeah. Well, I think it goes back to that 10,000 hours of whatever all that is. I mean, they've got the physical, like height and
Sure.
age and right place, right time to get the skills together at a young age, right? To put those probably 20,000 hours in by now. I mean, I don't know how LeBron's 40, right? And this dude's putting up 40 points.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, his longevity is really longevity and skill level at that is unmatched at this point. But again, it's the evolution of time, the food, water, all the things that go along with it, right? How you eat, how you train. He's been doing it since he was 17 years old. But I will say this, even somebody like that, there's still plenty of people out there in the world that are 6'9", whatever,
and
that don't even come close, can't even sniff the NBA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can't even sniff a college team. Right.
Right.
And again, it goes back. I mean, no matter what, the work is necessary. I don't care what you choose, what you do, how you do it matters.
When you say how you do it, expand on that. What do you mean by that?
So, I mean, pick a profession, right? Whatever, pick whatever. Like the people who get paid the most money are the best in the world that do it.
Yeah.
Let's just take something easy. Chef. Not that it's easy to be a chef, but my point is this: cooking food.
Yeah.
The guys who are the best in the world, women, whatever, just humans.
Yeah.
They get paid a
the
lot.
people with the tweezers that are like,
they get paid a lot of money.
That's like such an extreme sport in itself when you watch.
But you and I could go home and cook. I just made breakfast. I made breakfast and lunch today. You know what I mean?
I doubt you're like Michelin rated. Like
not even.
I thought it was.
Not even close. But I've never put the time, energy, and effort. These people have put in the work to deserve that, right? Like we live in a society today that everybody thinks that they just deserve it because I'm X, Y, or Z. Like that's not how the real world works.
I've been lucky enough to get into and just to see the CIA like kitchens, called Culinary Institute of America, the kitchens in Napa, and then the kitchen in New York, upstate New York. I forgot what city it is. Anyways, the training that goes there. It's insane, man. These people are putting these kids and adults and whoever is through some serious training for those kitchens. Because, I don't know, man, if I want to be in a kitchen and Gordon Ramsay yelling at you, because he's expecting that level.
There's a level. But to be great, that's what it takes.
What's that show?
You can pick any profession, though.
Chef is like, hey, chef.
You're in real estate. I'm in real estate.
Yeah.
The best of the best make the most money.
And it's brutal. I mean, I didn't bring it back into
the work.
But I'd say the first 3 years of doing real estate was getting your ass kicked every day.
Of course.
Making mistakes, almost getting sued.
Yep.
People threatening you with lawsuits, all kinds of craziness. Just
all the time.
Begging for forgiveness because you legit made a mistake.
Yeah.
And you exposed yourself to a very expensive problem and maybe even exposed your client.
Sure.
Right? Not that I want to admit to completely everything about what I did, but but it did happen, man. And it just happens. And the better I got at it, the more experience that I got, the more you learn where to cover your butt.
Now you can get deals through. It's not as easy today, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the numbers and you go, okay, who's the number one realtor? Who is it? Neil?
Neil.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and those of you that aren't local to here, right? Neil Weichel, probably one of the top real estate agents, minds.
He's been for
around
20 years. Him and Sherry and Zach have gone back, and I think a couple years ago they went back and forth.
Sure.
But for 25 years, I heard stories from him and Patrick Lopez and I forgot who the other guys were, but they used to like get the book, right? The MLS was a book that came out back in the 90s.
Yeah. And
I was in high school, right? And they're flipping dialing on the phone the book,
sure,
going through the book and sharing the listings. I mean, just a whole different world, man. And back then, paper files, it was a whole different world.
Even today, guy's up at 4 a.m., he's at the gym, he eats a certain way, he trains a certain way, he's in the office by 7:30, nobody else is there. He's still to this day, right? Again, it goes back to work ethic. It goes back to if you put in the time, again, you can be your best.
Yeah.
Right? There's two different elements here. When people talk about it, right? You talk about you pick a person. A person either feels like they want to be their best or they want to be the best. But here's the caveat. It doesn't matter which. It's the same amount of effort, the same amount of what you do. But one of us is driven by, I'm going to be the best that I can possibly be, right? That's what they believe. A guy like Kobe Bryant wanted to be the best.
Right.
He wanted to be known better than Jordan. He wanted to win. If you see the last championship they won, I think it was the fifth one, and they were like, he was literally sitting there, his two little girls on his lap, and they're like, why is this one so important? And he said, because it's one more than Shaq. Yeah, that was his answer.
That guy was insane competitive though.
Yeah, of course he was.
Yeah.
To be the best in the world, you have to be.
Yeah.
Right. And we're all competitive. Every person, everyone listening to this right now has something that they're competitive. The reason why we don't go that route is because we're afraid to lose or we're afraid to look stupid. That happens as we get older. That's what we worry about. We don't worry about losing so much. We worry about what people are going to think. That's what we worry about.
Have you ever heard that saying? I'm sure you have, where it's like when you're like 18 to 21, you're worried about what people think, and then you're 40, you're worried like you don't care what people think, and then by like the time you're 50, 60, you realize nobody was ever looking.
Nobody gave a shit anyways.
But you're right, dude, and you try to, I mean, like,
it is.
You know, I have an 18-year-old boy, and I'm trying to explain some of these things to him, but to him, it's all about like, you know,
perceptions, the outside. Yeah, now he's growing up with Instagram and all the other thing, in the internet and social media and stuff like that. So it's even worse for them technically because everything is, it's so fast, it's so real, it's right there.
You know, he's more on. He's not social media like so much like Instagram and Facebook. I think it's more of a I forgot what the platform is that he's on, like online platform, Discord. Not something I know about, right? And it's probably why he does it, because I'm not on it, and because I'm on social media, he's probably like, I'm gonna take my own path,
Right.
you know.
I mean, the same thing. They're just chat rooms, right?
Yeah.
They're just and the thing about Discord, or the thing about all of it, is the pro of it is you're going to find people like you. The con of it is you're going to find people like you, because it's called confirmation bias, right? Right now, if you think, you know, the Earth is flat, go look that up. You can have an entire universe of people that will be right there with you and explain to you why it is. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's why this is so, it can, at a younger age, it can really be detrimental, is because they find that group that believes what they believe, and it can take them over the edge, right?
Yeah.
And then, but let me say the good side of that. The good side of that is we're very tribal as people. We're community-based as people, right? Very few true like loners in the world. We need camaraderie. We need people, right? We need to find our tribe.
It is like that affirmation or confirmation, like you said, that we're always kind of looking for, right? To some extent. I'm not saying
we always are.
It's just a human nature, I guess.
Ever listen, every single thing that you've chosen in your life, every single thing that I've chosen in my life, regardless of what it is, we justify the behavior. Everything. Everyone talks about spontaneous. There's no spontaneous. There's no such thing. The brain works too fast. We are 100% going to justify the behavior. If a guy walks in and robs the bank, do you think he doesn't know the possible consequence? Do you think that he doesn't know that it's wrong? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He's 100, but he's justified it to himself of why it's okay right at this moment to do this.
Right.
He's justified it to himself. Everything that we choose in life, we're justifying. If you say, I'm going to go to the gym in the morning. I'm sick of this. I'm going in the morning. Alarm goes off. You reach over and you click it. You're already justifying why you're not going. It's too cold. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do whatever. We justify our behavior.
You know how many years after hearing you tell me that you see your alarm and you just...
I don't have an alarm anymore.
No, you just... or you.
I haven't had an alarm in probably...
I think it was more about me,
6,
but that you
7
just
years
wake
now.
up
Yeah.
and you just get up.
I do.
Like there's no
yeah, this is good for the listener. I love telling that story.
This is a big deal, because
It is.
getting up and just not having that conversation with yourself.
Because that's all it is. But if I have the conversation, so I'll tell the listeners, I was listening to a podcast like they are right now.
Yeah.
And there was a guy on there that said, you want to test how strong you are mentally? Because everyone thinks they're mentally strong.
Yeah.
So you want to really test your mental fortitude. He said, the night before, tell yourself what time you're getting up. Tell yourself why, because you have to have a why, right?
Right.
So, hey, I'm getting up, and it could just be because I said so. Doesn't matter, right? It doesn't have to be some big why, because I have to take my mom to the hospital, and if she doesn't, it doesn't have to be all that.
Yeah.
So get out a piece of paper, Write down the time so your eyes see it and your hand writes it, right? That there's all that kinesthetic awareness, right? Your body in space. And tell yourself what time you're going to get up. Now I'm going to tell you, because I did this, is put that alarm a little bit after just to be
backup?
the safety in case it doesn't happen and now you miss your job and now you're calling Ever because you're like, I was listening to your podcast. This guy said it. I didn't show up at my job and I got fired. Thanks, dude. No. Okay, listen.
Okay, yeah.
Protect it. Okay. Protect it. But see what time that is, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. I can tell you because I charted this whole thing. I was within 7 minutes, give or take. Every time, sometime
you're waking up on your own.
Waking up. If I said I am gonna get up at 5 o'clock from this point forward. I'm getting up at 5 a.m.
Okay.
And I tell my mind that. I write it down. I'm going to the gym, whatever it is, or I'm gonna read, meditate, take a shower, whatever my plan was. I just write those things down. And one thing that helps me a lot is looking at my schedule the next day and write down the biggest things that have to be done. Like,
Okay.
If I gotta
So you got to map out your day.
a little bit, not a lot,
Okay.
just like one or two things that are mandatory.
Okay.
These things got to
The
get
big
done.
things, yeah.
Those things have to get done. My day is not. Those things have to go right. And so I did. The first day was actually 6:30 was my time to get up. I woke up at 6:33. The next day it was like 6:29. The next day it was like 6:25, 6:31. It ranged with about a 7-minute gap. I literally have not had
I turn on my watch, my Apple Watch.
Mm-hmm.
I wear it to sleep. I wear it playing basketball.
Sure.
I try to track everything, like
Yeah,
my
that's
Pillow
great.
app and all that stuff. And I will, when we play basketball, we try to get there like at 6 a.m., right? So you got to get up at 5:15.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to get it as much so I can just not do that, because I find that when I do put a little snooze in there, it just does 2 snoozes. But if I don't put a snooze, at least I get that time up front. Mm-hmm. But then I can't negotiate with myself in the morning.
There's no negotiating.
You got to get up. And
That's a Kobe Bryant line.
yeah, and
I don't negotiate with myself. That's a Kobe Bryant line.
is that a line? Yeah, that's a good line, because that you're just. I mean, I'm the worst at negotiating with myself, because I just.
Because just me and me. I always
Yeah.
win.
I don't like to lose.
Bad or good, right? Bad or good. I get up, I don't get up. I do what I say I'm going to do. Like, and that's what it comes down to. Like, it comes down to, it comes down for the individual is what is the most important thing. And now you start to find those things. And you're right, because the older you get, your circle gets smaller. I don't know if you cuss on your podcast, but your fucks
yeah.
give less. You know what I mean? I have no more fucks to give. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, but that comes older. But you can start that at any point, right? Like, you can really start to think about, okay, what's important?
Yeah.
Is this furthering me? Is it getting me where I want to go? Right? And when you start to think that way, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, but you can build it. You can truly. I say you don't find yourself, you create yourself. You're not out here trying to find me. Oh, in this world, this great world, I'm going to ground myself and hug the tree and find myself.
Yeah.
You create yourself. I'm not saying you can do all those things, but create it. Who is that guy? How does that guy show up? How does he act? How does he walk? How does he talk? Right? And when you start to do that, then it starts to show up over and
I want to get
over.
up right now and do shit. I'm like, you're pumping me up, man.
That's the point, bro. That's why we hang out.
It's exciting, man. But it is literally exciting to hear you talk like that, because it just I feel like I'm not like I got a plan now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can map out this stuff.
But we all do. We all need it. I do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So even talking to you it's good for me, right?
Right.
Because
You visit the concept?
at the end of the day, there's an integrity bias, meaning I can't very well tell you, hey bud, you should eat this way, you should train this way, you should do these things if I'm not doing it, right? Then you
Right.
become a hypocrite,
Yeah.
right? You don't want to do that. I want to be that walking billboard. I want to stand there where you're like, oh yeah, okay, you know what I mean? I want to have those things in my gun, right? I want to put those bullets in my gun so that I have the ability to use them when I need them, right? And again, the only way you can do that is showing up the way that you said you would.
Who do you listen to, or like, I'm Ed Milet. I mean, I read a bunch of books over the years, but like, I think my go-to is probably Ed Milet. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, just somebody that I listen to a lot, and if I have a bad day or like I'm thinking about something politics, that kind of just the rabbit hole of crap, right? And then you just get out of that and you just listen to something more positive and inspirational, and then my whole day has purpose. And it's kind of either I can do my whole day one way, or I can just. And this other ones, I don't know. Sometimes it feels a little artificial. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like
it can feel that way.
Yeah,
because it's not yours, right? I mean, eventually it becomes you, right? Today, I don't have to think if I'm going to the gym or not. I've done it so long. It is my identity. It's who I am. When you start to build your identity, there's a difference, right? Identity is who you truly are and who you believe you are. And James Clear says it in Atomic Habits. He says it this way. He says, everything you do is a vote for or a vote against who you are going to become and who you are. So every single thing. So if you say, hey, I'm going to get in shape, and then you go eat a bag of Doritos, it's a vote for bullshit. You're not getting in shape.
Yeah.
You're not that guy, right? But if you eat properly, if you eat something nutritious, you go to the gym, those are votes for, yes, I am that guy. And it's the same thing with everything. But I also want to say that, talking about, we opened the podcast with the night that we went and hung out, and you and I were drinking margaritas together. We were having a good time, right? We ate, I think I had filet mignon tacos, right? We had chips and salsa. It's not a zero-sum game where you just never do this or you never have that. But it is so much so that I was just talking with this with one of my I coach a bunch of business owners now all across the country, and I was talking with one of the guys this morning. He's a financial guy out of Colorado, brilliant guy, and we were talking about we were talking about wealth, right? Because he's a wealth manager, manages hundreds of millions of dollars.
Merrill Lynch guy or something like that.
Yeah, hundreds of millions of dollars in his portfolio that he manages for people, and obviously he makes a portion of that and does very well because of his expertise. Where he's gone through a divorce, he's gone these other things. He's like, yeah, my bank, and I said, well, because you haven't built those banks. Your wealth bank financially, you've built. You got 20 years, right? Mm-hmm. You haven't built the health bank yet. You haven't built the relationship bank yet, right? You build that bank by putting positive deposits in it. Even your bank account right now, right? If you don't go put money in the bank, eventually when you go to that teller, when you go to that ATM machine, nothing comes out.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Think about your health. Eventually, if you're not putting positive in there, you're going to keep withdrawing from that thing, and eventually it's going to run out. It's going to be like, sorry, bro, you're all out, right? And I was telling him, I said, because he's always like, well, you're 53 years old and you have a six-pack, and how do you do that? And I'm like, yeah, but listen, it doesn't mean I don't eat pizza. It doesn't mean I don't have a beer. It doesn't mean I don't go out to dinner.
You always keep that bank full.
It's always
full.
You
can always
how many deposits I've made into that damn bank? I can go have a large pepperoni pizza at Toppers and 2 pitchers of beer and wake up with a six-pack.
Yeah.
Because I deposited into that bank so many times, right?
That's an interesting way of looking at it, man, that you
build
have
the
to
capital.
You build the capital,
build the equity.
Then you could spend it. And
build the equity, right?
Yeah.
How much? Yeah, that's what you want. You go buy a house today, you're building equity. Why? Because you're paying down the mortgage. You're doing things to it, right? We added this room. We put in the pool. We're adding value to this. You're actually building equity to it. And it's usable too, which is great, right? All wonderful things. And then when it does come time to cash out, or even if you needed cash, you can go get it because you've built it.
You have told me about this in the past, because I get to drinking too much and I feel guilty, I think. And then I'm just like, oh man, I need to stop doing that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's probably because my bank account's getting low on the health side, right?
Yeah, because otherwise you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
Or you wouldn't feel guilty about it.
You wouldn't feel guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't. You don't have to. You don't have to feel guilty because you get up and maybe you're not feeling great that day, but you get right back in it.
Yeah.
I'll say it to you this way. This is good for the listeners too, is that I have a saying that I have in front of my computer, and I say it all the time. It says, "You're always one away. You're always one away.
One away from
Anything you want. You have a bad day. You go out drinking. You're one good day, a glass of water, a good meal, a good workout. You're one away from feeling better. You need sales, right? You're one good phone call away from getting that listing.
yeah.
You're everything in your life. You're one away. You're one glass of water away from starting your day off right. You're one workout away from being right back on track. You're one good meal from being right back on track. It doesn't take a week's worth. Everything takes one. You've got to take that one single step.
Now, is that because one is really the choice you have at that moment?
In that moment.
Because you can't make three.
No,
right? You
no.
got one.
Nope.
Is that kind of what?
That's right. You're not getting it all back in one.
Yeah.
No
So it's
possible
just a bunch
way.
of ones.
One. Really? You want to get back on it? Have one good meal right now. Tomorrow morning, one workout. That's all. Not 50 workouts in a row, not 100, not a 500-pound deadlift, not win the CrossFit Games. No.
Oh, I think it's a more realistic perspective on that because, I mean, you only have one choice at a time, right, to
That's
make.
it.
And then if you continue to make them and more deposits than you do withdrawals, then you're going to wind up with
Man.
rich in the bank.
You're always going to win.
Yeah.
There's no way not to win if you do just that. Exactly what you just said.
What's-
If there are more deposits than withdrawals, you're always going to win. But the fun part is withdrawing, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I
that's
can't
when
wait
we
to
have
go
the
withdraw
fun.
with
Yeah,
you.
yeah. But it's good to also think, hey, I need to go put it in the bank so that I can.
Yeah, let's build up for it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
My thing is like basketball is my getaway, like my mental, like, and then I get to play basketball with
Yeah.
friends and stuff.
Sure.
It's a good social time
positive.
too. You know, it's cool stuff. But it does get my bank. Those are
That's
deposits.
definitely deposits for you. Because for you and who you are as a human, okay, you get the physical aspect.
Yeah.
But what's more important for you is the friendship aspect.
Yeah.
You are that guy. You are a social being.
Yeah.
You're great, you get fed. That feeds you. Not, you know what I mean? People in the world like to say introvert or extrovert. It's not either one of them, really. It's just who you are in that moment, right? That's a moment for you that fills a lot of different banks.
It does.
So
for me,
imagine
yeah.
one thing, this is for the listener, right? What is that one thing that you can do that fills multiple banks for you? That's what that is for you.
Like working out. You work out at home, right?
I do.
By yourself. So
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I have a Peloton bike, a Peloton tread. I have a reformer or a Pilates reformer,
Yeah.
some dumbbells. I got all the stuff I need
Yeah.
at home. You know what I mean? The only thing
not
I
who you
don't have,
are.
I can't do it. I do it, but it's like, it's weird because Carrie looks at me, what the hell are you doing? I put those overhead speakers, there's music on.
Yeah.
The TV is on, and I got my phone playing something. There's so much noise in that room.
Yeah.
It's like me artificially filling it. And if I just go to the gym, I don't even talk to people. I put my headphones in and I'm just rotating between machines and doing my workout. But I feel like that's where I get the energy to work out. So I think you're right. It makes a lot more sense to me why I probably do go to the gym as opposed to having all the equipment at home and still not using it. I make sure I don't put clothes on it though.
Yeah.
Because then I would be admitting that that's what I'm doing. But
No, it's something for you that is necessary. It's
Yeah.
necessary for you in a lot of different ways. Business is the same way for you because I've been around you a long time. You need those social environments. They're like, I don't enjoy those, right?
No,
At all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you run offices and you run teams and you do all that, it's necessary, right? It's a necessary.
Yeah.
But I'm in and I'm out. It actually takes my energy, right? After
gotcha.
so much.
Okay, yeah.
I've
heard
but
that.
I've been around with you. I've seen you work the room. I've seen how you are. It's who you are. It's what you need. That fills your bank. And so you're better because of those moments. And all of us and everybody listening, that's all you have to find. You don't have to do it because everybody else does it, right? If I tried to do, it's the same thing. You and I have talked so many times. If you try to do it the way I do it, it's never going to work
Right.
because that's what works for me. right? Now, are there some principal foundations that work? Sure. But the way I do it, you shouldn't do it that way. What you should do is find some of the principles and then find, like I said, you're like, hey, physical thing, basketball, right? I get out, I run, burn a ton of calories. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And by the way, it's competitive because we compete.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who's on the court. It doesn't matter how good, you know what I mean? It does not matter. What matters is you're competing. You're trying to win. Now, you're also in a social environment with people. A lot of them are your friends. So you're feeding that bank. So there's so many elements to that work for you. I can be honest with you. It wouldn't work for me. Right? If you were like, dude, that's all you got to do. You just got to go play basketball and your whole business you're going to have a multi-million-dollar business. This is how I do it. Right?
You know what? The basketball thing, I look at it more as like my time more than business, right?
But that's good because then number one, you're going to do it. If it became business for you,
it wouldn't
be as fun.
Yeah, no, I
wouldn't
do
mean
it
as much.
Well, at 6 a.m, who does what they, I'm doing it at 6 a.m. just because my clients won't call me till 8 or 9. They don't even know, dude.
You're
like
fine.
by the time I'm
good.
done, like on, during the week, like Friday morning, we're at LA Fit at 6, and we're running at 6 a.m. There's nobody there, and and most people are asleep.
That's right.
And like by the time we get done, we're 7:30, 8 o'clock. You're at home, and like then the phone starts ringing, and it's like, oh, did you just wake up?
Yeah,
I'm
like,
like,
nah, man.
no, yeah. And that it gets it out of the way in a sense, right?
Yeah. For sure.
But the gym thing, I can't do it that early either because it's empty early, and
it doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
But then, these are the points of what I'm talking about when we talk about foundations and principles. When you start to understand yourself, now you can start to feed it that way, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just because this is how somebody else does it, right? There's a great saying. It's actually on the board in my gym right now, and it says, "There's a difference between doing what somebody does and what they did to get there." There's a difference between doing what somebody does, which is what everybody sees on Instagram, which everybody follows, right? You see this, let's just take a realtor because we're in that business, and you see somebody in there doing something, right? That's super successful.
Right.
Right? And you're like, oh my God, I need to do that. Right? What truth is, that's not what got them to there.
Yeah.
It's not about what they currently do for the most part. It's understanding what did they do to get where they are. Much more powerful for all of us.
You know what? For me, what is, if I had to like give away a little secret, when I get business is when I just talk to my friends.
Yeah.
And that trips carry out. It's like, what are you doing? I'm just talking to my friends. And then like, because I ask them like, hey, what are you doing? Like, and they're going to tell me what's going on in their life. They're going to ask me, what are you doing with your life? Oh, just working, and then it just segues into that. And the more calls I make to my friends, to people I know, and then all of a sudden and it's not connected. Like it's weird. It's some universe something, man. It's like
right.
Whatever degrees of separation, or have you ever seen that? Like
but that's how it is. That's how
the ether or something.
That's how it all works, right? And because, listen, when you call somebody for that business, everybody stonewalls it.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. You call me for sales, I'm like, yeah, sorry, I'm not interested.
Well, what I'm saying? We all hang up on people all day long,
all the time.
Yeah,
but when you go at it from if you came at it and you were saying, hey, did you see what's going on in this? Or even if you're asking me about my life, it's almost without fail that the person doesn't reciprocate. Right? The law of reciprocation, right? John Maxwell wrote a ton about that, right? And what he said was, in the law, you want to do the thing positively because typically, so if I open the door for you and we're walking in Vegas, the next one's open, typically that person opens it for you. And I'll tell you this, if they don't, you want to run immediely, especially if it's somebody that you think is your friend. Run, because they don't give a shit about you, right? And they have other
and they
self-worth
probably don't
issues.
Care about other people.
Yeah,
period.
exactly. They have other issues. But in the law of reciprocation is what you're talking about right now, is that when you ask somebody and you mean it, not just in a blanket, like, hey, so what's going on? How are you? What's happening? What's going on in your life? let them talk, let them be, you don't want the short, oh, I'm good. Go
Yeah.
deeper, right? And because what's going to ultimately happen is when they talk about themselves, they end up asking you, so what's going on? And then it's your turn. And then you get to go into that, right?
Right.
And I remember, teaching business stuff and sales stuff all the time is that would always say, the no ask is when you're like, hey, by the way, I have this new program that creates these incredible market reports for people. Like they're full color, right? They're time stamped, so everything's real. They're really great. Do you happen to know anybody that might want one of those?
Yeah.
Really, I want you to buy it, right? Or I want to give it to
right.
you. But instead of asking you directly, hey, would that be something you want? I just say, do you happen to know anybody? And hopefully they go,
me.
well, me, dumbass. Why wouldn't I want one? You know what I mean? Like, I'm your friend, for Christ's sake.
Why
I'm
wouldn't
like,
you give one to me?
No. That's not why I called.
But you
right?
don't want to like come off as
because in the moment, and it takes the guard down, right?
When I was in Keller Williams, right, and we were in a training, Bold or Ignite or something like that, one of the trainings.
Right.
This guy, he was pretty successful, man, and he said, "I'm not a salesman," and I looked at him and I go, "What do you mean?" He's like, yeah. He felt dirty, right? Like it feels dirty to be a salesman, right? But like at the same time, if you don't equate sales with value to people, then you have that disconnect.
Sure.
And he had such a bad kind of self-worth of what he did, because this guy sold a serious amount of homes.
Yeah.
He was by every measure successful in his business, but it's like saying that you are, you do surgery on people, but you're not a surgeon. Like, you know what I mean? It's like that blatant, right? Like, but
sure.
I started arguing with him, and then I was like, I realized that, like, okay, it's whatever you want it to be, man. You
is.
just keep doing what you're doing. You're successfwhat
And that's what it comes down to. All of us. It goes back to identity.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are plenty of people that believe, what was his name? Og. Anyway, he wrote the greatest salesman ever, Og Mandino, and he talks about that, right? Is that being the greatest salesman ever is really just being you.
Yeah.
Because if you believe that, man, how powerful. The sense of belief that we have to have in ourselves, no matter what we do,
Right.
is the final answer. Like, it doesn't matter what I say, doesn't matter what I teach, doesn't matter what I do. I'll give you this with the gym. As we were growing the gym, we had a weight loss. We had a weight loss side, right? In those days, if you remember, the camp transformation, they were popping up everywhere in California. Guy had like every one of them made $1 million. He was one of the most successful.
They were franchises.
They were
something?
franchises, yeah.
Okay.
But he owned a piece of all of them. They were called the camp transformation, but it was basically group sessions. And if you did, their whole thing was pay $500. It's a 8-week program, but if you lose 20 pounds in 8 weeks, you get your $500 back.
Oh, damn. Okay.
But and so people would do it, but then they would just roll the 500 into more because they're like, oh my God, this is so great. Let me go lose. You know what I mean? It was a brilliant marketing plan. But because of that, we were getting a lot of questions about weight loss. People kept coming in. I was like, what is going on? Right? You start to see the trend. I'm like, why is it? Like everybody's asking. So
was that more the metric that people were after? Was the weight loss?
And at the
portion of
time,
it?
yes, and at the time, it was the fad. It was the trend, right? I mean, I don't know if there's any of those camp trends. I don't know if there's any of them around anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
They used to have one. There was like 4 or 5 out here.
Okay.
But anyways, it's a trend. But when you see the trend, you either jump on the damn trend and make some money yourself, or it passes you by and you're like, holy shit, what happened? Or you miss it completely, right? And so we built it. We called it Final Cut. We're like, yep, you can come in just for that. We have nutrition plans. We have it all. But the point of it is this, to go back to the belief for a second. We would do what we call an assessment. I would sit with these people. Everyone I sat with, they got a 15-minute session with me. And they would fill out this form. If they filled it out, they'd come in, we'd sit down 15 minutes. And I would ask them, okay, your goal, okay, it says here your goal is to lose 50 pounds. Why? Oh, my kids, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Okay. What have you tried? What have you done? Like, you go through this. I say, okay. And at the end, I would do this. I would say, okay, close your eyes for me. Imagine yourself 50 pounds down. You've lost that 50 pounds. Keep your eyes closed. You're standing in front of the mirror, right? You're going to go celebrate. Who's going with you? What are you wearing? If it's a woman, is your hair up? Is it down? You've got earrings. Are they studs or are they hanging? Is it a dress? What do you have? A skirt? Pants that maybe jeans that you haven't fit in? What are you wearing? Picture it. Heels? What type of shoe is that? What are you wearing? And I'd go all the way through. Ever, without fail, 100% of the time, any of them that had their eyes closed, that tears would start coming down their face.
Oh shit! It got real.
They would make it.
Really?
They would make it
Because it burned.
They could see it. They were taken by it. They could feel it. Every aspect of who that was, they would. And there are plenty. And then you open your eyes, and if nothing happens, I'd be like, okay, what were you wearing? I don't know. Those people with tears, it's a black dress. My hair's up. They could tell you exactly what they're wearing. Exactly. Where are you going? Oh my God, we're going to go to this place in LA that's my favorite spot. I'm going to have the chicken parmesan. You know what I mean? They could see it all. And I tell people that all the time. Like, that is such a powerful, and that belief happens. But I'll give you this. So there was a lady that, this happened all the time, but this specific lady, there was nothing. Like, she just opened her eyes. I was like, so tell me, what were you wearing? She's like, I don't know. I couldn't decide, maybe this, maybe that. And I'm like, okay, she's like, yeah, every question was like vague. No, I'm not sure.
No commitment? Or...
And I said, I'm just going to share this with you that I don't think you should do the program. We're not going to run your credit card. I don't think you should do it.
Oh,
She's
okay.
like, well, why? My credit card's as good as anybody's.
Yeah.
Like, she was pissed. Pissed. Like fuck you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said, well, listen.
Well, you kind of were giving her FOMO at
I'm
that
all
point,
about
right?
success.
Like, yeah,
in a way. But
what's wrong with me?
But also, it's not you. It's the fact that you're just. I don't know that you're ready.
Yeah.
That's all. And you can come back anytime, and I'll run your credit card, and you can come. But I don't want you at the end of this to say, oh, it doesn't work, or you guys don't know what you're doing. But because it all comes down to you.
Right.
And anybody who can't see themselves in that person, they don't know that person, but that person's in you. This isn't
you think
a new
it's a
person.
belief? Like, they don't believe?
It 100% is a belief.
Yeah, it's like they don't believe what the results can be, so they don't buy into it, right?
And they don't buy that they are possible. It's not even about that. If I ask them, do you believe if you ate like this, here's the nutrition plan. If you eat like that, do you think the weight will come off? Yes. Okay, here's the workout plan. 3 days a week, you come in, we do all the training with you. You have a trainer with you all the time. Will this work? Absolutely. Okay. Well, belief has two sides. What I just showed you is the plan, the process, the system. You believe in the system.
Right.
You believe in the plan. Absolutely. And then I go, well, the other side of the belief coin is, do you believe that you are worthy, capable, and deserving of those results? Because that's where the belief is. Let me tell you about this lady really quick. I'll finish that story and we'll come back to what you were saying. When I said to her, it's about you, like you wrote on here, you wanted to lose 50 pounds, for your husband, right? It's something like, it was something like that. And I said, why? And I said, what is something in your life? What is something that really fucking moves you? She goes, I've been here twice now. This is the second time I came in. I came in and saw it with my friend, and then this is the second time I came. Every time I come in here, I've seen women doing pull-ups, like real life pull-ups.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, happens all the time, right? Like all the time. She goes, 7th grade, we had a contest, right? And every girl could do a pull-up except for me. I've always been a little bit heavier. I've always, I couldn't do a pull-up. The 7th grade, this is a 38-year-old woman now with 2 kids, right? She goes, I go, so what are you saying? She goes, I want to do a fucking pull-up. I want to do a pull-up. I said, then fuck the 50 pounds. Who cares? We don't need 50 pounds. That's your goal. That's your goal. Do you believe you can do a pull-up? If they can do it, I can do it. Yeah, right. Exactly. You need the environment. Like this is some of the things that you were saying. Okay. We had a big wall, chalk wall.
Yeah.
And we painted chalk. And if you started with us, you had to ride over and write your goal, right? And then you'd have people that get the goal and they'd have write their next goal. If you hit that goal, you'd have to write another one, right? So I said, fine. I'll launch you in the program right now, right? You'll be part of the program.
Yeah.
But when you go out there to the goal wall, it's not 50 pounds. It's I want to do a pull-up.
Do you find that it's always like, that story that is burned in their brain? Like that
Of
lady
course.
it was a simple pull-up thing?
Always. But it's always that for all of us.
Or is that the motivator that like helps get past it?
You have to find what it is for you, right? She wanted to, her original thing was I want to be more sexy for my husband. I want him to desire me, all those things, right?
Yeah.
But yet she couldn't see that girl, right? But the moment we said pull up, she was fucking there every day. Here's a cool story. So she's doing all the work. She's been with us probably, I don't know, a while, 6 months or so, right? She comes into a night class. I happen to be the teacher. She goes, hey, I'm ready to do a pull-up. I was like, really?
Shit, okay.
So, and she had her own program. We had all the stuff to make sure her shoulders were good, her lats got right. She had some side stuff that we built for her because that was her goal, right?
Help her strengthen her up there.
So I said, all right, go to the wall, get your shoulders, get everything warmed up. Let me know when you're ready. Because if you've never done one, you need to be fresh. You don't need to do a workout and then go try a pull-up, right?
Yeah.
I said, I'll get everybody warmed up. Your warm-up's over there. Just get, do your normal shoulder routine. Get ready to go. And when you're ready, we'll come over. So it happens. Like everyone's like, what is she doing? I was like, she's got a different goal. We're going to, and so everybody gets warmed up. We do that. We get ready for the class. Everybody's setting out their weights, getting their stations ready for what we're going to do. And she comes over and she's like, yeah. And she's warmed up. She's even got a little sweat. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, let's go for it. Right. You see her get focused. Everybody starts coming around. Somebody, I don't even know who, walks over, shuts the music off.
Oh, got
right?
serious.
Everybody comes around. And she jumps up there. And we do dead hangs too. She freaking hung. She looked like she was shot out of a cannon. I mean, she was like right out of the gate tough. And then she just went whoosh, chin over the bar. Everything, so much so that she hit her chin on the way down because she was so fucking excited. She dropped it. She's like, oh my God. She ran, jumped, hugged me. Everybody's cheering, going crazy, right? So now listen, this is a lady that couldn't even see herself 50 pounds less. By the way, she lost 80 pounds.
Oh, damn.
She became a trainer. She's ran multiple marathons. She trains women now to get ready for like academies, fire academies, police academies, things like that. She trains women to get prepared for that.
So fitness is her business now.
Yeah. And this is a person that I was not going to take her credit card because she didn't have enough. She didn't want it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is, look, all of us, you just need to find your thing, right? And what you think is your motivator isn't really your motivator.
You know what?
Then you got to see it through.
I'll tell you that. I did. Have you ever heard of Landmark?
Mm-hmm.
It's a program.
Yeah.
And I went through that program many years ago, maybe 10 years ago or something like that. And it was very much like they said, they made you dig into two parts of your life. And the first one was like the first time you realized you were going to be alone on the earth. And I was like, dude, it broke me down.
Yeah.
I was like a little, like, dude, it was bad.
Sure.
But it made you visit like your total, like the most deepest parts of your psyche, dude, that like build you and make you probably where what you're describing, like her, she had to go back to that time where she couldn't do a pull-up and she was probably really embarrassed and then never wanted to visit that whole thing again.
Don't ever do it. Yeah, for sure.
It's
100%.
like my what's they my credit in 09, dude, after the thing. Don't touch it, dude. Don't touch it. Leave it alone, dude. Just leave it alone.
Oh my God.
You know, it took a couple years to get out of that mess, dude. But like,
sure.
My point is, yeah, if you like have a certain, especially with her with regards to health, maybe other people have it with regards to finance.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Anything.
Of course.
If you have that story in your mind burned, and that like, hey, I can't do that pull up, then you're never going to even try. And I see that a lot, man.
Happens.
And like people wanting to buy houses, they have that mental block. Like, oh, the rates are going to, I'm going to wait for the market to tank. I'm going to wait for like interest rates to drop. I'm going to wait for everything. And I try to tell, because most of my friends, I've sold them houses, right? And the ones that don't want to work with me, they have like a family member in their family. I do buy a house, man, because I want you to be wealthy. I want your family to be wealthy.
Right.
I want, that's why I got into this business, is because I do honestly believe that people who own homes, I know the stats.
Yeah.
I know you're going to be 400 times more wealthy than a person that doesn't own real estate, right?
100%.
So it's going to be, if I'm not being honest about that, and that's why I put myself in this business too, is like, why would I want to go into something that I don't believe in? Right? It just so it has the advantage of being the truth, man. I heard that a long time ago, and I was like, I've used that in many ways, probably lucrative ways, because when things have the advantage of being the truth, it's like, dude, you're just running in the right direction. And you know, it's still, I always bring this Grant Cardone dude up, man, and he just drives me nuts when he tells people don't buy a house. I'm like, dude,
because he's a multifamily purchaser. He owns apartments.
Yeah, well, he wants to take your money and
he
invest
wants you to invest with him, and then he wants you to rent from him.
But you know, most people, they go to work, they have their 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever that is. They go home, they pay rent. They probably won't ever really invest in anything, right? I mean, hopefully most people do, but you know what I mean. I'm not wishing bad things, but a lot of people don't, and they live pay to pay.
Well, again, it goes back to what we're talking about: is you got to find that thing for you. And here's what I will tell everybody. Every single one of your beliefs is fed to you since you came out of the womb. Every single thing, and as you get older, and hopefully you start to think for yourselves, and Instagram isn't your source of information, and you really truly find out who you are and do that. But everything, right? And again, religion, okay? Whatever you are, if you're Catholic, if you're Christian, if you're Muslim, if you're whatever. That's all fed to you since you were a kid. You didn't choose that. Most people,
no, I mean,
very rare. Some might switch, some might do it. But again, and not that they're bad. It's not. That's not my point. My point is they're all great. Whatever you believe is what you believe. Awesome, wonderful. Well, my point is that if that's true, which I know 100% it is, how much more of our lives? Again, what you're talking about, the wealth. Right? You're talking about buying a house. Who do they go to? Right? Their uncle who hasn't bought a house in 25 years. Right? And then they show up and be like, yeah, you shouldn't do that. This. Or you're like, wait. I had a client years ago, someone very close to me. And she had a house in Texas, was going to buy in California, was moving back to California for her job. And I said, well, what are you going to do with the Texas place? She's like, oh, I'm going to sell it. And I was like, well, let's look at the numbers. She got an incredible deal, incredible interest rate. I mean, like the rent at the time was like $2,000 more than her
big
mortgage.
Cash flow?
Automatic cash flow.
$2,000. Just
$2,000 in your pocket. And you're moving here for like a $40,000 raise. I'm like, hold on a second. I can get you $2,000 a month right now, right? Like, you see what I'm saying? I'm like,
yeah.
And so push comes to shove, whatever. She comes out here, she moves, and I'm like, hey, so how's the house doing? She's like, no. And she's like, oh, I know what you said, but I decided to sell it. I was like, why? She's like, just my sister said, it'd be too hard. And I was like, well, your sister, okay, tell me about your sister. How many houses does she own? Oh, she doesn't own any houses. How many rentals does she have? Oh, she doesn't have any rentals. I'm like, so you just took real estate advice from somebody who owns no real estate, never had a rental, and has never had positive cash flow on any kind of asset. That's who your information source is? Because it's your sister? I'm like,
and she probably got hammered with capital gains on the sale.
To this day, if I see her,
she's
like, thanks, dumbest move I ever made. Right? Was listening to my sister. I was like, well, I'm not even saying listen to me. I'm saying find people who are in that world of what you're doing. Find a friend who has a rental. Ask them what it's like being a landlord. Do they do it themselves, or do they have a property management company? Like there's so many ways to do it.
That's the one lesson I got from the richest man in Babylon is don't go to the bricklayer to buy jewelry. Have you ever read that book?
100%.
Yeah, dude.
Come
like,
on.
don't. Yeah.
But we do.
Go buy.
It's very common.
If you want to build a wall, go to the bricklayer, dude. That's the guy.
It's very common in today's world, though, is we're listening to people who've never done the thing that you're trying to do. And they're giving us advice on why we should or shouldn't do it. Just our parents, right? My mom, right?
I think we go to people we trust and love, right?
Of course. But and they usually do it out of love.
Yeah.
To protect you. if my mom's saying, hey, you should go to college instead of signing a pro contract, right? Because she knows the chances of you making it are really slim, or me, I should say.
Yeah.
The education is going to be forever. It's a protection mode. It's not that she doesn't want me to play baseball. It doesn't, not that she doesn't believe that I could be a major, whatever. You know what I mean? They're doing it most of the time, in most cases, out of love.
I
They're
had
trying
that
to be your
same,
protector.
My sister, who I respect very much and is very fiscally responsible, sat me down at my kitchen and goes, "What are you doing, Ever? You coming out of the car business? I did pretty well with it, and you're going into real estate because I had invested and I had, I saw what people were making. And I was like, oh look, but I was working as a mechanic, right? I was a master mechanic for Cadillac, and I just looked over at this guy, and he was my age now, but he's kneeled over on the the cowl, the radiator support. That's metal, man. Your knees are on that thing. And he was up in the air and like he was digging down, and it was just morning and it was cold, and I knew that engine was hot, and I was just like, I can't do this.
Is
like
that
in
is that going to be me
in
right?
20
You can
years.
see yourself.
This is almost 20 years now, right?
Yeah.
And I just said I can't do that, man.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get into something that I could do until I retire.
Yeah.
And I just so happened to like doing what I do now, right? And like I said, it has the advantage of
That helps.
of just doing something that I can genuinely make people wealthy.
sure.
I'm just like, all right, well, that doesn't sound like a bad. It's a win-win, man. I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of, again, for you, that's that moment.
Yeah.
That's that moment for you that it's, we call it the paradigm shift, right? A lot of people never have it. Their paradigms never shift. But when it happens, like for you,
Yeah.
changes everything. Changes the scope of everything. Changes the course.
Just to change the topic a lot a bit, something I really did want to like. I think you have a very optimal bank deposit system going on, man. So like for the health part,
Yeah.
If I could get out of you, man, just what does your day look like from supplements and from like at workouts and just genuinely like with meals and stuff like that? How do you balance that, or how does that work for you?
I mean, so it's changed throughout the years, and it changes even still now, depending on what I'm doing. But for the most part, I mean, proteins and fats. So morning, I have eggs, egg whites. I love eggs. I could eat breakfast,
Me too.
lunch, and dinner. Like I love it.
No yolks though.
I do eat the yolks. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so I'll have I'll tell you exactly. I do 6 egg whites with spinach, and I either make it as a scramble or I make it in an omelet, and then I put 2 whole eggs on it. So I like over easy. I like the yolk for it to break and be runny and all that. And then I always have, for fat, I have avocado. Put some Himalayan sea salt on there to,
That's the one hack I got from you years ago, and I still do it every morning.
Water, Himalayan
Water
sea salt,
and lemon.
Yeah.
And that's it, dude. And I have lemon trees in the back now.
Yeah.
So like I go
That's
grab a
fantastic.
lemon, dude, squeeze it, and just pop it every morning with my supplements. But one thing that I haven't been doing is I don't eat. I was like fasting 4 days a week, and then eating breakfast twice a week, and then.
But even if you eat the breakfast, you could have it after your fast too, depending. I mean, it depends on like, again, there's so many great things for people. The thing that I always try to stick to is, what is something that I can do every day forever, right? It's why when people like I get the call, they're like, so what do you think about 75 hard? I'm like, look, I love Andy Frisella. I think he's incredible. I think all the things that they're doing, great, right? I was like, I have one question for you. What are you doing on day 76?
Probably eating and drinking like a
madman. So what the fuck is the point?
Yeah.
What the fuck is the point? You're going to go 75 days in a row, great, and then you're going to go 300 days, not great, and then come back and do it again? That's, to me, again, I'm not telling people what to do. Do whatever you want. If you love it, great. What's sustainable? What can I get up and do every damn day forever? So I eat this way. I prep the meals, ground turkey, grass-fed beef, salmon, are my staples for protein.
So do you do like Sunday prep days?
Typically, whenever I put it to you this way, whenever I do cook, I cook for multiple meals.
Okay.
So I don't have to have like an entire week, to be honest with you. By day 4 of that, I don't really like it, to be honest.
Does it just start getting
yeah,
stale
especially
on
if you say like salmon or something like that and it's been sitting in there for 3 or 4 days. I just can't do it, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah. It's probably not healthy either at that point, right?
Yeah, who knows? You know, I'm usually 2 or 3 days at a time.
Okay.
But there's never a time where I cook for one meal. Never. All my meals are cooked for multiple meals.
So you just, and it's probably better.
So then you get
portion-wise,
3
right?
or 4. Yeah, you can get 2 or 3 meals, like, you know, out of whatever. So if I had ground turkey, you know, so I have ground turkey, broccoli, and then I just mix up whatever I mix it with, right? Like I have like probably 20 different types of mustard or whatever. You know what I mean? Try to stay away from things that have too much high in sugar.
Yeah.
I try to stay as clean as I can because, you know, Michael's gonna finish a baseball game and they're gonna want to go get pizza. You know what I mean?
And you want to,
and I want to have a piece of pizza, like I do, probably more than one. You know what I mean?
So then you have to put, and go back to the bank metaphor, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have to put those in the bank so that you have,
And also you know, I mean, even the time that we met, right? I was running productivity at that specific office at the time we met. I had 2 offices, so I was going back and forth. I got to be sharp, man. My brain needs to work, and so everything that I do now is for performance and more just brain performance. Not like I need to run, jump, and be the fastest guy or the strongest guy. Like I'm not trying to win a CrossFit Games anymore. But when I talk about performance, I want to be sharp. I'm coming to meet you today, right?
Yeah.
I can't eat a bunch of shit and come here all sluggish and, you know, feel like shit. I need to be sharp. I need to be on my game. So every meal is right on. That's going to keep me fresh. And then if you think like that, again, it should taste good because otherwise you're not going to eat it.
Right. Something
if
you
you
can
don't
do
like
every day for the
salmon,
rest of your
what
life.
do you like, right? If you don't like turkey, what do you like, right? You're like, oh, fuck, I don't like those things. This guy's full of shit. You know what I mean? It doesn't work for me. I get that I used to get that all the time.
I don't think
at
I
the
like the
gym.
ground stuff, the ground beef,
Sure.
I do like ground beef. I don't like ground chicken or ground turkey, but I do like slices, deli slices type stuff. But
So it just depends. Like I said, you got to find the things that work for you. Find the things you'll know. Because if you go through a day and you're like, man, my energy was great, look and see what you just did. What just happened? How did I sleep the night before? What did I eat the day before? You can start to figure these things out on your own. I mean, today, you know, you could call telehealth and they'll come and take your blood and tell you exactly what to do and how to do it and all that kind of stuff. I'm a feel guy, man. Like, do I feel good? No?
Yeah.
Okay, what the hell have I been doing? Oh, shit, I didn't sleep well. I went out the night before. I did this or did that, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I feel great, I'm like, what is that? Oh, I changed this, I changed that, you know? And whatever those little changes are, can I sustain them? And listen, I am a firm believer for myself, not for everybody, it's up to you, that I like little meals throughout the day. So if I can eat 4 or 5 times, but eat like somewhere between, you know, depending on what I'm doing strength-wise in the gym, somewhere between, you know, like 6 to 8 ounces of protein, right? That usually gets me somewhere in that like 40, 50, you know, grams, depending on what it is. That's where I try to live. I try to live there. I try to get about a gram of protein per pound of body weight a day. That's where I know that I feel my best.
Do you track the metrics like on, or do you just
Yeah, just MyFitnessPal. Yeah,
Okay.
just the same stuff everybody else has.
Yeah, Carrie does that. I can't like, I haven't been able to get in the habit of punching that.
The thing
all that
is
data
just
in.
if you do it just for a little bit, first of all, you stop telling yourself you can't do it, you'll probably be able to do it.
But number one, right?
The other thing is you don't always have to do it. What you need to do is you need to be consistent for long enough that you start to know. Now I've been doing it long.
You know what it's
Bro,
going
I
to read
can
before you even
eyeball
punch it in.
Liz shits when I just get it right out of the pan and I put it on and she's like, you didn't. She'll take it over and put it on the scale and it's
right.
spot on. Yeah, I mean, I've just done it for so long. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, how did you know that was 6 ounces? And I was like, I've been doing this for a minute,
You
man.
kind of like,
you know,
and grandma like does a pinch of this and a pinch of that,
and they
let's go
just
to
know,
this,
man.
and it's just
you
right
do
on,
it long
dude.
enough. You do it long enough.
You try to
right?
do it,
and that's the same thing for
yeah.
you. If you'll just put it in there enough times and see what the numbers are and see what it looks like on your plate,
Well,
you're a
encouraging,
brilliant
man.
guy.
That's
You'll be able to
encouraging
be
to do
like,
that.
okay, that's 4 ounces.
'Cause
Okay, yeah.
I do have to get the proteins up. I've talked to my doctors. I know I need to
course.
get the carbs out.
There's no
Right?
secrets.
The carbs out, sugars out, and get more of the proteins and the fats, and things will fix themselves. Like
100%.
right, but yeah,
man.
getting there. So okay, so what's your favorite cheat meal, man?
It just depends. I mean, like I said, we have a 10-year-old at home, so I mean, I love some pepperoni pizza, but I mean, I have no problem, driving through In-N-Out and getting, a 3x3 and getting some animal style fries.
Hey, dude, that's good stuff, man. You got to have some of that, like, right? I mean, like you mentioned the bank thing, and that's going to be my focus, and I'm going to get from this podcast, man.
Awesome.
Is doing that, and the Fitness Pal. You've kind of, I think I've been working on trying to figure out a solution to getting my head wrapped around it, and I think that's it.
Short
is actually
short
just to
time.
track it. Yeah,
Just very quick.
Just kind
you
of.
don't have to do it you won't have to do it for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
bullshit.
Because I think that's
You
what
don't.
maybe my mental block is. Like
It
that
is.
I would have to.
Yeah, but again, you're a very, very smart guy. Once you measure it out and you see it on the plate and you do that a few times, or you see it in a bowl, whatever it is, you do that a few times, you're gonna know exactly how much it is. You don't need to, and then you'll be like, okay, this is where I felt great. I had 160 grams of protein that day. Man, I was sharp. I was fat. Everything was good. Shit, basketball was better, right? You start to notice those things. That's all it takes. In the anything in the world, it just takes one little bit of success or feeling better, and we're like, oh yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Doesn't mean it's gonna be a habit, right? We
Yeah.
got to build the habit. But
Well, I think you got to the awareness that you get from.
that's right. That's a good point. That's a good word for it.
Yeah, if you're
You
aware
just
that
need
that's
awareness.
the result, this result gets in that,
Yeah.
and having that connect, then it does help reinforce the activity to happen again, right?
It does.
And helps you form the habit. Because otherwise, if there's no results, you kind of just feel like you're out in the wind anyways, man.
And if you, that's the truth, is there has to be a result. You have to do there. And that's the problem with food, water, things like that, right? Because we live in the Red Bull society, or
Yeah.
the 5-hour energy. You down one of those suckers and you feel it before you get to
Yeah,
the car.
you're
You know what I
right.
mean? And so that's what we expect. And you're like, well, God, Jeremy, I drank water in the morning. Why isn't my energy better? You know what I mean? I'm like, well, do it for 300 days in a row and then tell me how you feel. You know what I mean? Like, that's the truth of it, right? Is that we live in a society where you can just go in, open that door at the convenience store, grab that drink that has, 10,000 grams of,
Whatever it has.
caffeine
Yeah.
and every other
Dude,
thing.
it works,
And you're like,
and that's what's so.
it does work.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
If you're out of
I'm
gas
guilty.
and you're tired and you gotta like go to a meeting or something where you have to bring it up,
guilty.
you just pop one of those, dude, and you're like, boom, you're like,
like,
hey,
let's
like it
go.
works, but it's not the best way to do it.
Yeah, you can't do it every day.
Yeah.
right? It's the same thing. It's the same
back
thing.
at-
Can't
back
eat
to the
pizza
bank,
every
man.
day either. You can't eat pizza every day either.
Or it catches up to you. Right on. Well, man, I appreciate you coming down and chopping it up with me, man.
For sure, man. I appreciate you
Yeah,
having
it was
me.
a lot of fun. As always, as usual, man.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're gonna cut it off at here. You good?
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks again.
Thank you. All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning into the Opposites Unite podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to leave a comment for a chance to get a shout out in our next video. See you next time.